Are you in the mood to do a little bit of painting? Sometimes we need a bit of cheering up. Sometimes we need to do a bit of relaxing. Either way, I reckon loose expressive watercolor painting is the way to go. It's the mood I'm in at the moment, and one of my favorite things to paint is a simple, straightforward, loose, juicy pear. It won't take long, and it'll just be a good chance to splash some beautiful fun color around and hopefully make a lovely painting. But really, the point is enjoying the process. It doesn't really matter how it turns out. So if you want to play along at home, grab yourself some lovely 300 GSM cold pressed paper and let's have a go. Now, pears are something we're quite familiar with, so you probably don't even need a reference photo, but I found one that I think is quite charming. I think I'm going to turn my page this way round. We could do him portrait style. He'd be quite nice on a square, and maybe we can cut the piece of paper at the end. But this is the sort of thing that is not worth too much worrying about because it's just slowing us down from painting. So I think I'm going to sit the pear slightly to the side because it's got this lovely lean. What I can see when I'm trying to draw it is it looks to me like it's made up of a sort of a circular shape and a bit of a triangle on the top. And of course, this is why I love a subject like this, because I really don't need to capture it exactly as it is in this photo, because no two pears are the same, and pears are so, well, the soft, juicy, yummy ones are kind of easily dented. And I think there might be just such a dent in the one that I can see in the photograph I've got. So there we go. It's rather charming. Now, I do notice that where the pear is making contact, it's resting on sort of the flattest part of it. So we want to have that nice and flat. And I want to put that in as a nice strong shadow. There's also this rather fetching stalk coming out the top. And I love the curve of it, so I want to get that kind of gesture in. And the best way to do it is kind of one smooth movement, something like that. I think that's a little bit too big. Maybe it just needs to be like that. That's a bit better, isn't it? And then I can remove any of these extra lines. The thing is, I know that my watercolor is going to be transparent, so it will possibly show through. And now that's kind of reminding me to start thinking about the sort of colors I'm going to use. This pear is that charming green gold, and I do have such a color, green gold, but of course I could paint it green, I could make a pink pear if I wanted to. You know, you do whatever feels right. And if you're in the mood where you need the cheering up or the relaxing, it's rather nice to know that you are absolutely in charge and everything will be just as you want it to be. Because let's face it, how often is everything else in life like that? So I can't wait to get splashing this paint about. I do love to have something for taking away the water. I like my 2 jars. And I want to spritz my pan. Can you see? I want to spritz my dry palettes back to life. Now, because I'm just having a bit of a play and relaxing, I haven't worried about testing out color combinations and worrying about color palettes and all that. If you love that, do that. You know, it's absolutely up to you. Let's choose some brushes. I've been rather enjoying painting with this one recently. It's honestly probably seen better days, and I should get a new one. It's one of those Chinese calligraphy style brushes. I love this one, and I love this one, and that will probably be more than enough. So I'm going to start wetting my brush, and I'm going to look at the picture for a while. What I'm really looking for is some nice strong lighting. I'm not sure this photo is really the best I could have found, but it's what we're working with at the moment. So you're going to have the best chance of seeing the lights and darks. Ideally, your photo has got very strong light and dark, and that will make your job so much easier. But it doesn't really matter. We can make do. So I'm going to half close my eyes and look at the reference photo, which is up in front of me. And when I half close my eyes, I can see the lights and darks a little bit better. So there is a light patch sitting about there, and a little bit of reflected light down there, and a little bit of light up there. These are all a little bit darker, and then obviously there's some shadow forming underneath. So the light is probably coming straight down from the top. So I'm going to put in a little bit of water just to get myself going, and because it makes me feel happy. I've got this color here called green gold, and I might start with that. It's going to be a nice light color. I think I've got a bit of yellowiness on my palette up there, and I'm mixing it up in a bit of a puddle just because that's going to help me with the consistency. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in. I'm kind of staying away from where I want the light bits to be. And we said there was a bit down here as well. And then I'm cleaning off my brush, and I want to just use a bit of water to bring in this light section, because it's light, it's not the white of the paper. So I want the very palest amount. I want the very palest suggestion of color up there, and also down here. So that's just a little bit of a stain from the paint that was there before. And I want to work quite quickly because I want it to still all be sort of juicy and fresh down there. I've also got a color, juicy and damp the wash so that I can add extra colors. Now, I've got a few more of these exciting colors here. This is quinacridone gold, which is another goldy brown color. And I want to put that in. And I want to do it while it's all still damp, because then the colors are all going to run together rather nicely. I can see a bit more of that color sitting down here. I don't want to do too much agitating of the paint and forcing it together. I can also see a bit of sort of burnt sienna. And I'm making this nice and concentrated because I can see a bit of that down here. And this is because I'm dabbing off on my towel there, because I don't want too much water. I want quite a lot of pigment. Otherwise, I'm just going to get a whole lot of cauliflowers. And I want to dot in a few more marks up and around here. And, you know, I think I might even enjoy a bit of splatter. Oh, brave and bold, exciting. Let's see, let's put in a little bit more green. I've got this color called Green Apatite Genuine, and I've been using it rather a lot. It's kind of a mucky green, but I think I'd quite like to put it with a bit of the yellow just to make it a slightly goldier version. And let's put in a little bit of that. And that's spilling out, love it, happy with that. Maybe a bit of that across the front here. And even down here. And I'm kind of making this up. Now, where I've left a little blob of water like that, that's probably going to make a cauliflower. And that, I know that because it is more water than is already on the page. I don't really care. If that upsets you, then you need to pay a bit more attention. You can also start trying to lift it up. But, I'm not going to bother. I think I would like, though, to go back to my green yellow, my yellow, green, green, yellow, I always forget which way around it is, and put a little bit more in the top here. I think I was not quite defining the edge of my pear quite as much as I wanted. Now, have I got my lights? I feel like I've lost some of the lights a bit there, so I'm going to soften that a bit out. I don't mean soften, I mean lift out. I'm kind of lifting out. So I'm painting by taking away. So we don't have to get too uptight about missing some of these lights. We can actually lift them out. Let's get a bit bolder with the color. I want to put in a shadow color. Exciting. We could go, I want to go something a little bit cooler. So a blue, maybe. I would tend to go an indigo. A purple is my usual favorite, and also because it is opposite on the color wheel to the yellowy golds that we've got going there. So, oh, have I ever done a painting without my beloved Moonglow? I don't think so. I'm going to use that to put in the bottom of the pear and, in fact, the shadow. I'm saying that is where it is really making contact. And then I want to see if I can, because I've cleaned off my brush, I can even put it in my clean water now. It's just ever so slightly damp, and I can use some of the color I've got there to extend this shadow just by making a little bit of contact there. Pull it out as far as we would like. I don't want it to just end. So it's better to go from away from the subject in. If you drag it out, you're just going to get a whole big continuation of the color. Not necessarily what I was going for. And I've got a bit of the color falling in into the sort of the table, let's say. And I am okay with that. What about the stalk? I want to use colors I've already used. So I've got the burnt sienna, and I'm going to start with a bit of that. I'm just actually painting with the very tippy tip of my brush. You don't need too many brushes. A nice fine point like that will give you a really fine mark. So often you don't need to stress about trying to change brushes and all that kind of thing. So I want that to connect up there. And I'm not painting a whole strong line because I don't think that would very accurately reflect what I'm seeing. Not that I'm always going for an accurate reflection. I'm just wanting to give, to show what I see when I look at this. But because that's still damp, I'm going in with my Moonglow, which is another color I've already used, and I'm going to put in the sort of shadowier side of that little stalk and let it all talk. I think I want to drop in a little bit more color here, but my wash is starting to dry, so we're in the slightly dangerous territory here of ending up with some dark marks, and that's not really what I want. Now, a background. Not necessary. We could leave it just as it is. I think I would quite like a bit more yellow, so I'm going to, some nice juicy yellow, add a bit more over there. Rather fun. It certainly puts me in a much happier mood. Do we want a bit more speckling on the pear? Do you know, I think I do. We could even play with different size brushes. We'll give you different size speckles. So I've got this little tiny one, my rigger. And if I put some of my burnt sienna on there, I can put a few speckles. I can loosen up the paint a bit by adding a bit more water. There we go. Loads of fun. Doesn't that put you in a good mood? You know, we could do it all over again and choose completely different colors and get a completely different painting. I have to say, pears are one of my favorite painting subjects. And if you're looking for other painting subjects that are great fun for beginners or anyone who needs a nice, easy project, I made a whole video all about that. I'll pop it on the screen and you can watch that one next.